Hello, good evening, everyone. I hope you all can hear me. People, those who are saying no audio, cannot hear, I hope you all can hear me and see me as well. Good evening. Okay, Gopala says yes, Ziba says yes, Optimist says yes. Nice. I'm glad that you all can hear me. Wish you all a very good evening. So I'll keep putting myself on mute because I have little bad throat and I usually do not sound this bad. Okay, just to be clear. But today it's a different story. Let's not get there. Okay, great. So I'm glad you all took out time and you all are here. And we are already 385 in strength. That is amazing. Thank you so much for this love, everyone. And I hope today you learn something new. You go back, you take it to your classroom, and then you apply it in your classroom as well. Sayeda says it unable to hear. We have started, and there are people who are saying they can hear fine. Okay, great. So, shall we begin? I think we should. We do not have enough time at hand, so let's begin. You all have other things that you will be doing after this class, so let's not stretch any further. Okay, so our masterclass expectations today. Please be respectful to others during the presentation. So, in this format, usually I'm the one who's going to be talking. You all will be active using the comment section in the YouTube area, and I'll be able to read most of the comments. I'll try and accommodate most of the answers. However, I wish I'd like to thank you all for the participation, which you are going to show in the next 2 hours. Keep your mics muted, be aware of your camera. In this format, you will not be able to talk or show yourself, so there's no risk. You can be a little careful, but please be attentive. Okay? And if you have doubts, you have questions, you can ask them uh, in the comment section. And some of you have already submitted a few of the questions which we asked you to share with us. I'll try and address those questions during the presentation today. And just in case you're not able to get the answer that you need, in that case, towards the end, we'll do a small Q&A session, and I'll be happy to take the questions. And if it's in my capacity, I will definitely try and help you with that. Okay, great. So we are done with the expectations. And what are the takeaways for today's masterclass? Let's just talk about those. So, the things that we are going to talk about today are: what is student engagement? What are the dimensions of student engagement? Why does student engagement matter? How to classify students as per their level of engagement. Next is how to increase student engagement. This is all is what we are going to cover today. So one, two, three, four, five in the next 2 hours. Okay. Oh, Gopala says it's his birthday. Thank you. Not thank you. I must wish you first. So happy birthday. Wish you a very happy birthday and a blessed year ahead. So this little maze that you see, there's a teacher standing over here, and then it moves, through this maze, and finally the engagement is cracked. So we will try and do something similar, but in a very simple way, nothing like this maze. Okay. So let's move ahead. Meet your host. Okay, I look better in this picture than in this video, thanks to my camera. So, my name is Robin Chabra, and as you can see, I have 13 plus years of industry experience. I have a master's in science and I have a teaching qualification as well. I'm a certified UK Level 3 assessor. I have UK Level 4 internal quality assurance certificate as well. I am a Google certified educator as well. And I have been with Suraasa since 2019. So it's been some time, almost 4 years in the company. I'm going to complete 4 years soon. So, yeah, that's the tenure. And all this while, I have had the opportunity to talk and train a lot of teachers. And that's what I usually do day in and day out. I talk to teachers, I mentor teachers, and I try and help them with the problems that they have. And of course, I learn a lot from them as well. Teachers are amazing source of knowledge, so I leave no opportunity if I have to learn from them? Now, this is the question that I want you all to answer. We are moving to our topic now. If you walk past a classroom of students and they were all busy working away on an assignment, would you be able to tell if they were engaged in the work or just doing what they were told to do? Think for 30 seconds and then give me your answer in the chat. Okay, so I'm getting wonderful responses. There are people who are saying most of them are engaged. Some are saying I'm doubtful. Some are saying it could be both. So it is inconclusive, right? I'm just reading the answers in the chat, okay? Just give me 30 seconds. So we have a mix of answers. Some are saying they're engaged, some are saying they could just be following the instructions which were given to them. So there are two words that I'm going to introduce now, okay? And these words are engagement and anyone, can you try and tell me the difference between these two words, engagement and compliance, in the comment section? Indulge students in different activities, okay? Bapa says cannot be concluded. Okay, nice. So these are two different terms altogether. So we'll talk about engagement. Let's talk about compliance first. Compliance simply means you're following the instructions. You are doing what you were asked to do. And now let's talk about engagement. I see an answer from Poonam. That's amazing. That's a good one. Okay, very good. Engagement is reflective. Okay. So, attendees, if you feel that your screen quality is blurred, you can change the quality of your YouTube video to 720p. So you see this little gear icon just below your video on the towards the right hand side settings button. Click over there and change the video quality to 720p or 480p depending upon your internet connection. Okay, so then you will be able to talk about you will be able to see the picture in good quality. So engagement, all of this is in the chat already, so half of my job is done. Student engagement is the amount of attention, curiosity, interest, optimism, motivation, and passion that students show during the learning time. So, when you refer to the words like attention, as teachers, you have to be able to present them with a stimulus that is strong enough to capture their attention. Else, they will not be listening to you. And as a matter of fact, there is a fun fact for you all. Every minute, your brain processes around 120 inputs, and out of those your brain selects a very few to which it responds. So attention is important. You need to plan for such stimulus for your students. Curiosity, as a teacher, are you able to generate this amongst your students for the topic that you are going to teach to them? Curiosity is again very important part, right? How do you generate their interest in this? Next is interest. Now, if you relate it to their past experience, to their past knowledge, definitely they are going to have some interest in it. Or else, they may not show any interest at all. Or sometimes you have to bring in examples from your daily life to make sure that you connect them to the topic. For example, I still remember our teacher, physics teacher, she had to teach us parabola in physics. She took us to the basketball court and we learned it by playing basketball. Optimism. If I have interest, I'm curious, I'm going to be optimistic about what am I learning today, right? Motivation. The end result drives motivation usually. So if you are sure of the end result, you really desire to achieve that, you will feel motivated. So positive reinforcements can work here. Next is passion. Now, passion is something for which you go crazy, right? You just want to do it at whatever cost. It interests you so much, you really want to get into it. That's what a passion is. So, try and learn more about your students. Learn about what their passions are, and that way you will be able to include all of that in your sorry, you will be able to include all of that in your day-to-day practice, your teaching practice, even your lesson plans, right? So that's about student engagement. Now let me go over comments, right, so that I do not miss out on anything wonderful that is written over there. Okay. Okay, motivation plays a crucial role. That's what Shruti says. Lovely Shruti, I like this. Yes, Yasin Khan says active participation. Absolutely, that is absolutely important. Lucky says correlated with their previous knowledge. I agree with you on that. Absolutely, Lucky. And then Zamir Sayed, situation can be determined just by just observation. You really have to get into it. Absolutely correct. Interest using inquiry method. We are going to talk about it, Swapna. Just hold on, okay? Pooja Arora, okay. Join again, same happened with me. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know what was going on. Next is, okay, good. So we are on the same page. We have similar understanding, and I'm glad that we are on the same page. Up next is this student engagement and learning environment. So, learning environment inside the school has a big role to play in deciding how much engaged your students are going to be. And for this, the kind of relationship that your students have with all these things mentioned in the slide plays a very important role. For example, the school community. School community is all about giving opportunities to your students, making sure that the resources are available. You should be able to provide a motivating learning environment to your students. That's the major job of the entire school community. Okay? Everybody, all the stakeholders who are a part of a school, they are all part of school sorry, community. Okay, and this is not just restricted to few things. It's also about deciding on what kind of learning environment will be provided in the classrooms, what kind of reinforcements will be used, how my students will be engaged, what kind of activities are allowed to be conducted, what is not allowed to be done. All of this is part of community decisions that we take within the school. Next is the instruction. Teachers play a very important role over here. Instructions. How you plan your instruction is going to play the most important role and will decide on the student engagement factor that you will have in your classroom. So, teachers, How do you think you can make the instruction engaging for your students? Please take a moment and write your answers in the comment. I'd like to learn more from you as well. Please. How do you make your teaching and learning activities more motivating and challenging for your learners? To improve student engagement, please write it. Are you all able to hear me? Ah, okay. Sorry, I was not scrolling maybe. It's compliance. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Right. Voluntarily participate. Okay. You have to make them follow the instructions. Okay, good. So it's all about giving them tasks that are challenging yet achievable. So when they are able to finish the tasks, though that sense of completing a task is what motivates them as well, right? So we need to plan for that. I'm going to discuss this in the detail as well. Next is the adults at school. Now, the adults in the school area and the school community have a very important role to play. Their job is to develop good relations with the students. Their job is to be approachable. Their job is to guide the learners. Their job is to make sure that they create an environment which is inviting for the learners. And if they are able to do that, definitely the student engagement will be better. Student will have a sense of belonging to the institution and to the classroom. Okay? The students' peers. So it's not always about teachers and management and parents and the child. Peers are also important. As teachers, we need to train them on the importance of maintaining good relationships with each other, the importance of social learning environment in the classroom. We need to train our students on that. We have to set the expectations right with them as well. And obviously, they should know how to sympathize and empathize with each other, because if I'm not comfortable sitting next to someone in the classroom for whatever reason, I will not be engaged in my lesson. Doesn't matter how good or best or engaging that activity is. So I need to be aware of how to train my students in making someone else and themselves comfortable in the given learning environment. Last is the curriculum that you all follow, that you all want to use to teach your students, right? It's a big document that you follow. It guides you throughout the ages that the child is going to be within that institution. So, flexibility is the key term over here. As teachers, you should be flexible in giving choices to your students, right? Choices of how they want to study, how they want to take the assessments, how they want to prepare content, right? All of this is part of curriculum as well. And of course, the content that you have to teach is, of course, have to be done. We cannot compromise on that. But then, other than that, we have to make sure that our students understand the requirements, we communicate the expectations with them, and eventually we solve the problem of engagement somehow. So the relationship that students have with the community, the way the teacher gives them instructions, the way the curriculum is approached, how adults conduct themselves within the school community and within the learning environment, and how students interact with each other and also with the teachers. All of this combined will have a good impact on student engagement. Okay? Now, I'm going to introduce you to the next main important thing, which is about, again, student engagement. So, if you are ready for that, my next slide, please type BIO in the chat box. Bio. BIO in the comments, please. BIO, if you can hear me, all of you. Can I get BIO in the bio? Okay, good. Now, I'm not going to teach biology as a subject. BIO over here stands for bring it on. Okay? So I'm glad I'm getting so many BIOs in the chat, which means you all are listening to me. And I'm also trying to read the maximum number of comments side by side. So thank you all. Great. So now let's move ahead. The dimensions of student engagement. Very important area. There are three dimensions to student engagement, and the research says the first one is emotional engagement, number two is behavioral engagement, number three is cognitive engagement. So let's go over each of these one by one. So the first one is emotional engagement. Now, this is an area which focuses on the extent and the nature of positive and negative reactions that a child may give to the teachers, to the classmates, to the academics as a whole, and of course towards the school. Now, this also includes the kind of expressions that they give to you in the classroom. Some of them may say, ah, I'm bored. Some of them would be glad. Some of them would be delighted to see you as a teacher the moment you enter in the classroom, and others may not be very welcoming when you get into the classroom. So this happens with all of us. I'm a teacher myself. This happens with all of us, right? Next is behavioral engagement. Now, this aspect or this dimension of engagement focuses on participation, the level of participation that students will show in their academics, the social setting in which they are in the school. You know, those micro groups that you create, social circles, right? And the co curricular activities that are conducted in the school. What kind of attitude or behavior students have towards them? That is also very important. That decides how much your child is actually engaged in the given task. Okay? Last, number three is cognitive engagement. It is all about how much level of interest your students have in the task that is at hand. Are they involved in that task? Are they asking relevant questions from you? And various other things which I'm going to discuss in a while, right? So I've given you a background now. There are three levels or three dimensions of engagement. The first one is emotional engagement. Number two is behavioral engagement. Number three is cognitive engagement. Okay. Now I want you to think of, close your eyes, recall your classroom, see your students in front of you. Take 30 seconds. Think and share what signs or what activities from your students confirm that they are emotionally engaged in the tasks that you have given to them. Think about it. Think about it. What confirms that your students are emotionally engaged in the work that you have given to them? How would you confirm that? Emotional engagement. How, as a teacher, you will be able to decide if your students are emotionally engaged with the content that you are teaching them. Yasmin says there will be excitement, they will demonstrate curiosity, exclamation, raising their hands to answer the question. Wonderful, wonderful. Their body language, lovely. Another thing is asking appropriate questions. Okay, nice. Okay, all of this can be there. Active response from the students. Nice, very good. Now let's move on to the next part. Number two, behavioral engagement. As a teacher, how can you confirm that your students are behaviorally engaged in the tasks that you are giving them? Okay, okay. I'm going to read the chat now. Looking at their faces, active response during the discussion, okay? Sharing their own experiences, body language, okay. All right. Obedience, wonderful, very good. Obedience is from Sangeeta, nice. They don't want my lessons to end. You are amazing if this is happening with you, Shazia. Trust me. If they are asking relevant questions, okay? If they are following instructions, wonderful. They are attentive in the class without misbehaving. Good. I'll talk about this point in a while today, Ramya. I'm glad you brought this up. Listening and respecting what has been asked, amazing, wonderful. Cognitive engagement. How, as a teacher, you will confirm that your students demonstrate cognitive engagement in the tasks that you give to them. Think about it and write your answer in the comments now. Cognitive engagement. Life stories, discussions related to the topic. Lovely. Happy, ready, and excited. Okay. What else? What else? This comment section is endless today. Okay, they're asking relevant questions. Lovely. Following the instructions. Okay, so following instructions can be in behavioral engagement mostly. Okay, they are probing questions. Okay, so I think Sangeeta, you're saying you will be using probing questions, maybe. Okay, they're giving good. They're getting good marks in the assessments. All right. Okay, very good. They are enjoying the process of learning. Okay, I see better grades. Lovely. They're researching on their own. That's amazing. I mean, that's too good to have, right? By their performance level, absolutely. The level of interaction with the content, great, amazing. Facial expressions, lovely. That makes a lot of sense. Transfer of learning into new situations, just breathe. Wonderful answer. Sharing live experience, that's amazing. That's a very good answer. And they look interest to talk on topic. So wonderful, they're talking about it. That is one of the best thing that can be done. Body language, Trupti says that. Yes, absolutely correct. Their involvement in the classroom, lovely. And does this ever happen that some of them would be even willing to help others understand the content? They take initiatives. They want to teach each other. They want to talk more about the content. Does this also happen? Gauri says attentiveness. Very good. Okay. Wonderful. hmm Wonderful. Wonderful. Very good. So, those of you who were already aware of these three dimensions, kudos. And those who learned about these three dimensions today only, type SM in the chat box. SN. S for sugar, N for new. SN. I want to know. And if you learned from others, you can still type SN in the chat box, in the comments rather, not chat box. This is not Zoom. I'm so used to Zoom these days. S for sugar, N for November. So SN stands for something new. Wonderful. I'm glad that we could give this to you all today. Lovely. Very good. Okay, since this is something new and you would want to try and use this in your classroom as well, uh, let's do one thing. Let's recall a couple of your students, okay? And if you're sitting with a notebook and a pen, that's lovely. So recall a few of your students, somebody who is always there, whenever you give a task and they're very enthusiastic and they just want to do it. Someone who is, they get the job done and they're not a problem at all. They're sweethearts. You have nothing against them. And then there are a few who will not be listening to you and they will not be attentive in the work as well, right? and but they will sit quietly in the classroom. And then there are going to be few who will not be interested in the work at all, and some of them, you know, will disturb the class as well. So think of various characters that you have in the classroom. I hate tagging kids, but then for the sake of understanding, I'm saying this. Write down a few names, 5, 10, 15, how the number depends on you. Whatever you can recall. Recall them and write down their names in your notebooks. Do not do it in the comment section, please, okay? Do not do it in the comment section. And if you're done writing the names in your notebook, type done in the comment section so that I know that you are done with this. Write down a few names that you can recall, the students you teach, okay, on the basis of whatever I have just said. And once it's done, write done in the comment section. 5 to 6 names, I think, should be enough. Great. Now, on the next slide, I'm going to show you the answers that you all have given to me in the chat already. And so, behavior engagement is evident when students they pay attention to what you say in the classroom, when they follow instructions or the rules that have been set. Next is when they show persistence, which means they're not giving up, they want to do it. When they follow routines, as a teacher, we'll talk about the importance of setting routines in the classroom in a while as well. Next, when they behave properly, which is the way you want them to behave most of the times. Emotional engagement, they are able to express their emotions at task. It's okay, and they don't have to like every task every time. Some of the tasks they will do it, but they may not like it. That's absolutely normal. Show a sense of belongingness. They feel that their classroom is inviting. They want to come to the class, they want to talk to you. Next, like listening to the teacher. Though we said your talk time should not be so high these days, you should be more of a facilitator, but whenever you talk, they want to listen to it. Show excitement for tasks and activities. Most of you have covered this already. Next is empathize and sympathize. Now, this could be with each other, amongst them. This could be with the student or with the teacher as well. And this could be with other adults or community members in that school. This is for all of them. That's how this show that they are emotionally engaged. Cognitive engagement. Most of you wrote if they are asking relevant questions. It means they are thinking about the content. That's absolutely amazing. Next, they are solving problems that you give to them. So one of you said about inquiry-based learning. I said I'll be talking about it. So kind of there, but not yet. Next, demonstrate the use of higher order thinking skills. So what are higher order thinking skills? Can I get some answers in the comment section, please? Higher order thinking skills. They demonstrate the use of higher order thinking skills. Higher order thinking skills. Come on, I'm waiting for your answer, everyone. Sangeeta says critical thinking. Okay. All right. What else? They are able to do application based things. Okay. Wonderful. Analytical, evaluate, create. Lovely. Okay. So yeah, this made me recall Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. Wonderful. They're able to evaluate. Good. Very good. Ah, I see it. Higher order in Bloom's taxonomy. So application and above till creating. Okay, wonderful. Absolutely, absolutely correct. If your students are able to demonstrate their mastery in some of the topics at this level, this is amazing. Remember, Even the syllabus does not want every topic to be taught at, let's say, application level or at creating level. So, whatever is the highest level, if they are achieving it, absolutely they are cognitively engaged. Lovely. Next is they are achieving academic goals. That's the one of the most important things that you are thriving for as a teacher. Last, they are constructing knowledge. How, as a teacher, you will say that your students are constructing knowledge? What will make you think and conclude that your students are constructing knowledge? Okay, so my students are thinking about the content. Lovely. What else? They're thinking out of the box. Okay, nice. They're connecting topics. Okay, very good. They're teaching each other. Okay, they're acquiring new skills. Lovely, wonderful. Mhm. They are able to use it in the real life situations. Wonderful, wonderful. They are producing some kind of output. Okay, good, good. Output that matters and that is measurable. Okay, great, wonderful. They're thinking out of the box. They're engaged, live, lovely. They're connecting topics with each other. That's so good. That is so amazing. Very good. So, all of this will let you confirm that your students are cognitively engaged. There is something that they're processing and they're making sense out of it. Now, you have the data of your students at hand, right? You wrote some names in your notebooks. For each child, write some specific comments. How does this child show behavior engagement in my classroom? How does this child show emotional engagement in my classroom? How this child is demonstrating cognitive engagement in the classroom. So, this way, we will have some data. If this child is not showing behavior engagement, at least you know what you have to work on. Same goes for emotional engagement, and same goes for cognitive engagement. Think about the reasons, write it. Do this for at least 5 to 6 of the names that you have written. We are in no hurry. I'm giving you all 2 minutes minimum to do this. Okay? Your time starts now. I can see you all are still active in the comment section. That's good. But please do the work on the data that you wrote in your notebooks, the name of the students, please. For each and every child, try and identify how this child shows behavior engagement, emotional engagement, and cognitive engagement. And if you're not able to identify it quickly, it's okay, leave it blank. Maybe that's an area wherein you have to work later. That's okay. We still have 1 minute left. Okay, good. Are we done? Do we have some data at least? If yes, type yes in the comment section. Good. I'm getting a lot of people typing in yes over here. Great. That means we are moving ahead. Now, my next question over here is, why does student engagement even matter? We've been talking about engagement, right? We learned about the definition. Then we learned about the various ways in which we need to make learning environment more inviting for our students. Then we learned about the three dimensions that are there in engagement. So which means it's heavily researched topic for sure. And you are so active in the comment section. So think of various reasons. Why do you think student engagement matter for teachers? Please write your answer in the comment section. Okay? To ensure optimal learning, wonderful. Focused learning, very good. It makes learning more effective. It's essential for learning, okay? Student centered learning is important, right? It's scrolling so fast. Engagement will increase love towards knowledge. Banerjee says that. Trupti, to teach better, wonderful, you need it. To make learning effective, that's what Jyoti says, lovely. Manjula, for active learning, nice. Nivedita, student centered learning, great. All of these things, they are some of the reasons which make sure that why student engagement matter. Wonderful. To get the outcomes that you want. Now, this is what research shows about student engagement. Let's start with this green circle. Engaged students create fewer distractions in the classroom. Do you all agree with this? If yes, type yes in the comment section. Engaged students create fewer distractions. And why do you think this happens? Yes. Now, there are several ways for that a teacher can use to enhance student engagement in the classroom. We have discussed a few of them in brief. However, there are others that we are going to talk about in detail in the upcoming slides. Next. Now, this orange thingy, orange circle. Students feel positive about their future and readiness for the next grade. So, as a teacher, if you are able to engage the students, if they are able to learn better in the classroom, they get a sense of achievement, and that makes them feel positive about their own future. I can do this. I was able to do this. I can do better in the future as well. And they feel more confident about the upcoming grades. So I'm in grade 5. I feel confident moving to grade 6 because I know that I was engaged. I was able to do the things that I was asked to do. And also, I was able to do things the way they were meant to be done. Next, students get the attention they deserve. Now, think of a classroom scenario wherein your students are engaged. Each one of them has something which they love to do. They are busy interacting with the information, and as a teacher, you are able to spare out some time for a child who needs your attention, who wants personal attention from you. So, this way, students, those who actually deserve your attention, they are the ones who are able to get the attention if others are engaged. So, we all, create tasks for different learners in our classroom, learners with different cognitive abilities. So, this is why it's important for us to plan in a way so that we are able to give attention to the ones who actually need it. Next, students show creativity and interest in the assigned work. Do you all agree? If they are engaged, they are going to show their creativity and interest in the work that is assigned. Can I get some examples in the comments wherein the students went beyond the expectations and they were so creative that as a teacher you were amazed to see the results? Type your experience in the chat. When did this happen with you as a teacher? I like to hear positive experiences, and we will share it with others today. I'll read it out for sure. So your students started connecting topics between different subjects. Lovely. Wonderful. Okay, very good. Any experience from your teaching practice wherein they showed amazing amount of creativity? They came up with puppet show with fingers about saving environment. This must have been a sight to watch for sure. Thank you for sharing this. Mm-hmm. Okay, they started making their own videos. Lovely. So, as a design thinking teacher, sorry, when I taught them gear ratios, they built a tractor and demonstrated power ratios and related that to social science. Wow, we were not expecting this for sure. Thank you so much. So, students prepared wonderful lesson plans, Talat. That's so good. And they taught each other. Lovely. Mhm. So we were doing lesson on shapes of leaves, and one child made a chart with names with leaves around the house. That's so good. I remember creating something like that. So, in college, when I was doing BSc, they ask you to prepare a file that's called a herbarium, in which you have to dry the leaves and then paste them and then write about their taxonomy and classification. So this made me recall that. Lovely. Wonderful. Now, if students are engaged, they are not creating distractions. I'm talking about the green circle. Next, they are feeling more positive, they are feeling more invested in the topic. The yellow one, students are getting the attention, the ones, those who really need it. Now, the gray circle, students show creativity. Then I guess the dark blue circle is bound to happen. They are going to get better grades and they are going to show good academic achievement. So the topics that you all shared with me, the creativity where your students, went beyond expectations. Did they actually get higher marks in those topics at least? Yes or no? Please type in the comment section. So we are going to prove it right here. Okay, so students prepared flashcards for display boards. Lovely. Ah, bookmarks using the costumes of different countries. Lovely. So I'm getting a lot of yes in the comment section. Amazing. So it means that the student engagement matters. And if there is engagement in the classroom, definitely your students are going to get better marks. Next, students feel they are in a safe learning environment. Do you all agree with this? Why would they feel that they are in the safe learning environment? What will make them think like this? What will make them think like they are in the safe learning environment? Why would they feel that they are in a safe learning environment? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Mariam Roth, very nice. Interacting, having a voice and space for their thoughts, space to create and make mistakes. Lovely. Encouragement is there. Wonderful. It must be for their growth and development. Very good. Wonderful. They get appreciation for what they accomplish. They are heard and their inputs matter. Thank you, Sunipa. Lovely. They get feedback. Wonderful. Absolutely. Absolutely correct. So, if all of this is there, where my learning needs and my preferences are met, where I'm heard, where I'm getting feedback, where I'm getting remedies, how to move ahead, and all of this is personalized somehow for me, definitely I'm going to feel safe in that learning environment. I will be engaged. I will put more efforts. I'll try and be more creative as well. So that is why we are concluding that student engagement does matter. Now, after student engagement, it's time for us to think, thinking time. As teachers, you need to think of possible ways to categorize learners as per their level of engagement. And for this, you can write your answer in the comment section. Categorize learners as per their level of engagement. Think of ways. Do you think this is even possible? Should we even try this? Shamala says connect one subject to another. Okay. Bushra says slow and advanced. Okay. I'm getting quick learners and slow learners or consistent learners. Wonderful. Gifted, special. Okay. Wonderful. Freedom to express. Okay. Sangeeta says there could be two ways to do this. Okay. Mm-hmm. Slow learners and fast learners. So, when you say slow learners and fast learners, we're talking about the way someone learns, okay? Their cognitive ability to interact with the information. I'm talking about level of engagement. How can we categorize it? Mhm. So, research has shown that there are actually various ways to categorize learners as per their level of engagement. So, are we ready for that? If we are, let's type bio in the chat box, BIO, so that I bring it on and I share it with you all. And then, as teachers, you will be able to use it in the classroom. Okay, different kinds of learner, multiple intelligence, creativity, time taken for completion. Okay, I'm getting learning styles over here. Live, nice, very good, very good. A lot of people are typing in BIO. Good. It means you're still interested. Nice. Let me show you. How does this look like? Categorizing learners as per their level of engagement. So there are five categories in which we usually categorize learners. Let's start with the one which says type 1 in green color. Engagement. High attention plus high commitment. Learner is giving high attention towards the work and they are also highly committed towards the work. They actually want to do it. Number two, strategic compliance. The learner is paying high attention, however, they're not really committed towards the work. They're just doing it because they have to do it. Next is ritual compliance. Low attention, low commitment. I'm not usually really bothered about it. I'm not really very committed about it, but I'm going to do it. Next is retreatism. No attention, no commitment. Now, these learners, they don't show interest in the activities or the learning that's happening, even for that matter, co curricular stuff. They don't show any dedication or commitment, but they do not disturb anyone else as well. So that way, they're okay. Yani they will not be troublemakers in your classroom. Next is rebellion, diverted attention, no commitment. They don't want to study themselves and they do not even want others to study. So they will be up for something or the other in the classroom. Always. Now, these are the ones who usually create problems as well because they are not interested in doing whatever they are being asked to do. And also, they don't want others to do what they actually want to do. So that's the problem, right? So let's learn about each of these in detail. What do we actually mean by attention and commitment? And what are the characteristics of each of these learners? So this will also help you identify these learners in your classroom as well. And that will make your planning more efficient. Okay? So here we go. Do you all see my screen now? Okay. So if you need a 2 minute break, we can stop 2 minutes and then we can continue. Yes for break or yes for screen time. Type break in the comment section if you need a 2 minutes break. It's okay. We can accommodate that. Break. Okay. So let's take a 2 minutes break and we will start in 2 minutes from now. Okay. Okay, break time is over. Are you all back? I can see some people are really active in the comment section. If you are back from the break, please type yes in the comment section. I'd like to know who all are here. Okay, very good. Wonderful. Now let's learn about each of these. So some of you are complaining that you're not able to read the text on the slide, maybe because of its size or color. So don't worry, I'm going to read each and everything to you all. And the recording of the masterclass will also be made available in some time. So you will be able to watch it and take notes just in case you want to. Okay? Great. So let's move ahead. The type 1, which is high attention and high commitment. Now these are the students who are really immersed in the work that is given to them. Now the work that is given to them has value. They value it. It makes sense to them and they feel that this is going to help them as well. So when you value something, you feel that it's adding something to your current skill, to your attitude. It's helping you improve in one or the other way. You are going to be more sorry. You are going to be more engaged in that kind of work, right? For example, you give your students to solve a real life problem. That's engaging. It's something that they are struggling with, and you give them a solution for it. They want to listen to it, they want to work towards it. Now, the learners who show high attention, learners who show high commitment, they are the ones who are going to show persistence. They will have a go getter attitude. They're not going to give up on the things so early. Next is self direction. Some of you shared wonderful examples in the comments. Students ended up creating robots, students ended up creating something for saving the environment, and many other things. That is self direction. They are taking the onus of their learning. Next, they all explode content that is beyond expectations. Now, you all have the data of your students, which you wrote in your notebook, right? From that data, pick a few names and put them under type 1 if they show high attention and high commitment in your lessons or the tasks that you give to them. Hurry up. Take a moment and categorize your choose the ones those who show high attention and high commitment. Okay, next, now we are going to move to type 2, which is strategic compliance, high attention, low commitment. Now these students, they put effort into the task only to achieve the goals or the targets that have been set for them. They're not really interested in the topic, but they are doing it because they know this has marks and these marks will be there in my report card. Now they may not show you where creativity really well. However, they are always going to follow the instructions and they are going to meet the standards of performance that have been set for them. Now, you all must have these kind of students. Maybe they are very interested in one of the subjects that you teach. However, in the other subject, they're not very interested, but they always show their homework, right? They always complete the tasks that have been assigned to them, and they always meet the expectations that have been set for them. Think for a minute, take 30 seconds minimum. Identify those learners from the list that you have created and put them under type 2. And once you are done categorizing your learners in type 1 and type 2, please type done in the chat box, in the comment box. I keep saying chat box. Once you are done categorizing the learners in type 1 and type 2, type done in the chat box. Lovely. Number 3, ritual compliance. Type 3. Now, these students, they do not value the work that has been given to them. They only do the work just to avoid some negative consequences. For example, doing extra homework for failing test. So They see little value in the subject or the topic or the content or the activity that they are being asked to be part of or to do or to learn, but they will do it just because they don't want to get any negative consequences, right? So these learners again will not show any sort of creativity. They will not have any curiosity. They will not be asking many questions, and they will just get the job done so that they do not get any negative consequences. After this is type 4, retreatism. No attention, no commitment. In retreatism, these students are disengaged, completely disengaged from the work that has been given to them. They don't want to do it. They will never do it. However, these are the ones who will not be disruptive in their class as well. They will not study, but they will let others study. They will not make trouble for you as a teacher. However, it's good they're not giving you a chance to point their finger, point your finger to them, hey, you're giving me a problem. But then the bad thing is they're not studying as well. They're not interested in the topic being taught or the content being delivered, the activities being conducted. So take 30 seconds, categorize your learners under type 3 and type 4. Type 3 and type 4. And once you are done, type done in the comment section. Great. Wonderful. I see done, done, done. Very good. Next, number 5, rebellion. Now, these are the ones who make a lot of trouble. And how do they make trouble? They don't do the work that you ask them to do. They don't participate in the activities that you want them to be part of. They want to disturb the class. Sometimes they even want to get the attention of the entire class. They don't want to study and they won't let others study as well. They do not show any learning of, they're not interested in learning, and they show no compliance. They are the ones who would always break the rules, right? We have some students who could fit into this type as well. So please categorize from your list those who fit in type 5. Type 5. Do we have some in the type 5? If your answer is yes, please type yes in the comment section. You have one. Okay. Papia says yes. Neha says 4. She's giving me the number. Okay. All right. Now, take a look at your list and the way you have categorized your students. Tell me in which type you have the maximum number of students. Type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, or type 5. In which type you have the maximum number of students? Lavanya says type 3. Kumudini says type 2. Type 2. Wonderful. Some have people in type 3. I'm glad nobody said type 5 and type 4. Okay. Wonderful. Now, why did we do this? Now, today, when you go back, you have some data at hand and you at least can reflect on it and identify the areas that you need to work on as a teacher. So now you are able to categorize your learners as per the level of engagement that they show in your classroom when you deliver lessons. So if this is something new that you have learned today, type NS in the comment section. Sorry, SN, something new. Sorry for my really bad throat. SN in the comment section if you have never done this before and you're doing it for the first time today. Great. Okay. Now let's talk about the last 40 minutes that we have. We are going to talk exclusively about various things that teachers can do to improve student engagement in the classroom. So we know what is engagement. We know the different dimensions of engagement, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral. We now also know the various ways through which we can categorize our learners on the basis of the level of engagement that they show in the classroom. Now, let's learn about the various strategies or activities or methods that we can use as a teacher to improve student engagement in our classroom. So, we move ahead. Now, to improve student engagement, we need to do two things. The first thing that we have is with us already, and that part is called the content part, which is the what. What am I going to teach? That is content. The next part is structure, that is the how part. How am I going to teach it? Once we are sorted with these two things, what we get is active engagement in our classrooms. So, this structure has a lot of dimensions to it. It's not only restricted to your lesson planning, it is also about the way you conduct yourself, the way you invest yourself in developing relationships with your students. That's also very important. And this is one of the first things that we are going to talk today now under student engagement, the importance of developing good relationships with your students. Structure is also about, am I, as a teacher, am I allowing my students to collaborate? Am I collaborating with them? Is another question that I can ask. So, we are going to talk about this. Next is to foster the sense of competence. Do my students really feel that they are achieving in the learning that I'm giving to them? How that has an impact on student engagement is what we are going to learn about today as well. So these are some of the things that I just spoke about. There are a few others, and we will talk about them now. Now, the first one is building relationships. Now, simply put, relationship building is actually the ability to establish strong personal and professional bonds. And as teachers, I know you do a lot of things to develop good relationships with your students. And sometimes you even have to involve parents as well, right? So that you get the results that you really desire from your students. Now, I want to know from you all what all you do as a teacher to build or nurture relationships with your students. What all practices you follow or you do. Take a moment, reflect on your teaching practice, and write it in the comment section. So I make lessons more interactive. Okay. I create group discussions. I support all the learners. Wonderful. Have general talk. That helps. Yes. I give counseling sessions. Lovely. I am approachable. I talk to them. Okay. I do activity based learning. Wonderful. Wonderful. One to one talk. That really helps. Greet them. That's important. Yes. Sharing life experiences. Wonderful. Debating on topics. Wonderful. Constructive feedback. I really love this point. Wonderful. Next is talking beyond books. Absolutely. Very good. Very good. Role play. Uh huh. Great. I think some of these are over here on my next slide. Let it come on the screen and then I'll talk about it. First, introduce yourself to the students. How many of you take this seriously and you make sure that you introduce yourself to your students in a nice, funny, or engaging way? How many of you do this? Type yes in the comment section if you do this. If you do this, you should know its importance as well. Okay, Deeply says yes. Maria says, I do. Jaspreet says, yes, I do. Always, always. Wonderful. Now, this is something which creates a sense of attachment. As a learner, when I know my teacher beyond their name and the subject that they're going to teach to me, trust me, I will feel more connected to the teacher as a person, not only as an authority figure whom I have to listen to. So, introducing makes life easy. So before you start any official session the first day, make sure you know your learners and they know you. We all are humans. We have common interests. We have common experiences. There are certain way we feel about certain things. So it's okay to talk and share that. They should feel that you are a real person, not just someone who's going to be there, teach, and then you will go. Next is know the learner profiles. Now, this is very important. Every child is unique. Every child has different cognitive learning capacities. Every child has different way of expressing themselves. Every child comes from a different socioeconomic background, different cultural background, and various other factors. So, if you know the profiles of your learners, it will really help you in planning a lesson that is engaging for your learners. How many of you invest time in learning about the profiles of your learners? If you do, please type yes in the chat box. This could be through one to one interviews as well, or some recorded data from the previous class teacher. How many of you do this? If you do this, please type yes in the chat box. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, if you do this, this will really help you eliminate any sort of bias or prejudice that you might have regarding a learner. This really helps a teacher. So, for example, if you feel there is this child who's always demanding and wants me to repeat the instructions, and I always have to walk up to him or her and explain how things work in a certain way. Now, when you go with their profile, you will understand that child may have some sort of learning difficulty. That's why they want you to repeat the instructions. Maybe they take time to, absorb the information and process the information. And if you don't take care of this need, they will not understand the task, and that child will end up in category 2 or 3, or maybe 4, as per their level of engagement, right? And we don't want that to happen. One of the most important things that we do with PGCTL learners as well is involve students in setting classroom rules. How many of you do this and what results do you get when you do this? Please type it in the comment section. What are the benefits that you get when you involve students in setting classroom rules? Okay, Ms. Banerjee, I'm reading your comment now. Establish a good rapport with the students. Okay, wonderful. They take responsibility. This is what I was looking for. They take the onus of the learning, and that's why it is important. Now, there is one more thing that you should be careful about. When you are setting rules with the learners, always use the type of language which uses the word we. For example, we will not exceed the break time. We all will enter the class in time. So the moment you say you will do this, I will do this, you are separating yourself from them. and nobody likes it. When you are setting the rules together as a class, as a group, then make sure that the language that you use is we. That's how you both take the ownership and you both are involved in the process of implementing or following those rules. And always make sure there are some compliance policies as well. So if they break a rule, have a zero tolerance policy, and then you decide you want to use positive reinforcement or what. I prefer positive reinforcement always. Next, learn and incorporate student interest in learning. This is important, and we have spoken about this a lot. Next is build rapport with parents and work as a team. Can I get some experiences wherein you actually involve parents in the process of learning and you saw a drastic increase in the performance of the child that you initially had troubles with? Write down your answer in the comment section if you have done this, and if you want to talk about it in brief, I would be happy to share it. This is your achievement. Flaunt it, please. PTM interactions. Yes, that's right. Wonderful. Anecdotal records. Yes. Parental assessment. Oh, that's lovely. You said you do it. You got better outcomes, Lava. Wonderful. Behavior and academics. Okay. You did this during COVID. Okay. Informing the parents what your child is doing right now and what they need to do to get to the target that has been set for them. Lovely. Teamwork increases self confidence. Now, if you do this, parents will also know the effort that you are putting in as a teacher. You both will be able to have somehow similar mindset and outlook towards the situation that you are trying to address. And they will work with you as a team and will make sure that the child does the work that has been assigned to him or her. And this is going to be the best thing that can ever happen to a child, right? So her parents came with a negative approach. Now, parents believe in evidences most of the times. Have the evidences with you, then prepare a remedial action plan. Learn, if required, do a meeting with the parents, take their perspective, and have a meeting with the child, take his or her perspective, and then prepare a remedial action plan for that child. It is going to be more personalized. You will be able to include things what the child likes to do instead of what you think the child will love to do. So this way you will be able to build better relationships, and all of this is done to make your learner feel curious, motivated, interested, and develop some passion about the subject or the topic. So definitely the engagement is going to be much, much better. So Bishakta asked, what is positive reinforcement? So in positive reinforcement, what we do is when somebody behaves in a way you wanted them to behave, you give them some sort of reward and you increase the probability of the same behavior to occur over and over again. So, for example, you write this page neatly with very good legitimate handwriting, and I will give you a chocolate. I'm doing this, I'm rewarding the child because I want my child to learn to write neatly in a good handwriting. That's what positive reinforcement is. Okay? Ah, Miss Banerjee, Mao Banerjee, I agree with you. It does help. So, in one of the schools, what happened is they had this culture, you know, elder kids, grade 11 and 12. So, they had this culture of tearing off the pockets of the shirt, and they would do it. And this destroys school uniforms. This makes them look a little weird, and this is just not acceptable. That's a big problem. So the vice principal was so worried, and everybody gathered, and they decided to do a meeting. Principal was, of course, angry, and then the students were called in an auditorium. So what happened is, the vice principal, she took over, and she was telling kids not to do this, blah, blah, blah. These are going to be the repercussions and stuff. And then she thought principal will come, over, and then she will scold them or say something, in a harsh tone. However, the principal walked up onto the stage and she addressed the scenario. So this has been brought into my notice. She was wearing a smile on her face, and then she asked everybody to think of two benefits of the act that they all were doing. There was pin drop silence. There was no benefit of tearing off someone's, pocket from their shirt. And then she said, then why were you doing it? Would you do it again? The answer is no, I will not do it. We will not do it again. And what do we do with the shirts that have been damaged already? The number of shirts in the uniform collection, right? It's a resource. Your parents pay for it. So they suggested a way that we all will contribute something from our pocket money and we will get those shirts repaired. So they called a tailor in the school, all the shirts were given and they were repaired, and students paid out of their own pocket money. So this gave a good perspective to the students. Principal managed not to spoil her relationship with students. The problem was solved. Now that behavior issue is no longer over there. And she taught a very important lesson to the vice principal and other teachers. Never get into punishments when you are dealing with masses. So it's good to acknowledge the negative behavior, but then think of the best way of doing it. Okay? So now, after building relationships, we move on to the next thing, which is number two, and that is create meaningful work. Now, creating meaningful work means you are creating and assigning tasks that learners find worthy of their time and effort. They value the learning that you're giving to them. As teachers, what can you do to give your learners tasks which are worthy of their time and effort and attention? How do you do this? You don't want your students to just disregard the work that has been given to them. So, what can you do? Tell me. Connect to their interests. Lovely. That's the first comment. Mariam, very good. Excitement. I can get them excited about the work. Lovely. Okay. What else? What else can be done? Think about it. You have to make the work meaningful with the learners. Assignments that learners can relate to their daily life. Okay, that's another one. Okay. Lifelong learning. I'll link it to the lifelong learning thingy. Okay. Preferred learning styles. Lovely. Now, this is what I have to discuss. The first point is I can use differentiation in my classroom. Now, differentiation does not mean you have to give different tasks to every learner. Differentiation means you have to give different kinds of support to every learner as per their requirement to achieve the goal that they are supposed to achieve. That's what differentiation is all about. It's not about giving hundreds of different tasks to hundreds of different students in your class. Next, use inclusive content. We have learners who may have some or the other problems. Some could be physical, some could be because they're not able to do things, cognitive limitation, or it could be many other factors. So we need to use inclusive content. Simple practice. My learner cannot read text in small letters. I can print for them a question paper with a bigger font size and I can make the text bold. I'm making content inclusive. I can print my content in a specific color that my learner prefers to look at, and it's easy on their eyes. Some students even have that problem. That's how I make content inclusive. Inclusive pedagogy. This is your knowledge of teaching and learning pedagogy. So, As teachers, you have to make choices which should enable your students to learn. What is going to be my starter activity? What is going to be the main activity that I'm going to use to teach my students? How am I going to do this assessment? What format the assessment is going to be in? Can I give my students options in terms of how they are going to present their learning? All of this is part of inclusive pedagogy, right? Next, connect the topic to the previous knowledge and experience. Again, very important thing, right? Assign tasks within the zone of proximal development. If you are hearing this word for the first time, zone of proximal development, please type yes in the comment section. If you know about it, don't type anything in the comment section. Some of you are aware of it, I know for sure, definitely. Okay. So, zone of proximal development is an area in which a child can complete a task with the support from an adult or someone who has more knowledge than them. So, as teachers, this is your target zone. Make sure that you challenge your learners, okay? And the task should lie within their zone of proximal development, which means you are extending their current knowledge and skills and taking it to a level above the current level. So that is what zone of proximal development is all about. Now, if you do this, the learner will be engaged in the task. They will know that my previous knowledge is being used. I'm learning something new with someone's support. That's okay, but I'm ending up learning something new. This is important. That's why we say always learn about the previous knowledge of your students. Next, you have said this in the comments already. Relate tasks to real life applications. This is a no brainer. Use adaptive learning technologies. Very important. Now, there are learners who are in grade 5 and grade 6, but their level of knowledge is not at par with the grade level. That happens with us, right? Yes, it does, right? Very good. Now, what do we do? There is technology available that can use the assessment data of your students and can generate customized learning paths for them. They will not even know that they are studying something which they should have studied in grade 4 or 3 already. They think it's part of their learning journey. The topics that they have not mastered yet will be added to their learning queue. They will master them and eventually they will be at par with other students in their grade level. And if they feel this, they are going to be more engaged in the classroom. Next is use a variety of resources. That's not a brainer at all, right? I have heard so many things in the comments already. This is surely to bring learner engagement in the classroom. Offer choices in assessments. This can also be part of differentiation. When you want to assess your students, don't create a mold and ask everybody to fit into that mold, at least informative assessments. What you can do is give them choices. If they want to give you a presentation using PowerPoint, that's okay. If they want to create a video, if they want to create an audio file, if they want to present it in the form of an infographic, that's also okay. You should value their interest. However, make sure whatever format they submit, they have to, meet some minimum criteria to make sure that the content in which the format in which they're submitting their work meets the requirements that you want them to be evaluated on. So for that, you can share with them some piece of rubric or some sort of checklist. You create a PPT, you write a story, you write an infographic, but make sure that each of these things have one, two, three, four, five, six in them so that you are able to check their knowledge as well, the level of attainment, right? Next is use an interdisciplinary approach. A lot of you have spoken about this already. You can pair up with another teacher if there are overlapping topics. And eventually, you can make sure that your students grow. So, for example, I have seen some students struggling with word problems in maths. They're not able to understand the word problems. So, the teacher collaborated with English language teacher. Okay? And they both covered this area, the reading part and the comprehension part together, so that students get the advantage in English as well as in maths. That's also possible, and that gives wonderful results. Next is add interactive elements to lesson plans. Now, teachers are using lot many edutech tools and various other things in their lesson plans. This is surely to give good student engagement in the classroom as well. So, we are done with building relationships. We are done with creating meaningful work. Are we ready for the next one? Type yes in the chat box, please. Comment section, my bad, not chat box. Okay, wonderful. Number three is foster autonomy. Autonomy can be best understood as a situation in which the learners take responsibility for their decisions concerned with his or her learning and the implementation of those decisions. So, what you see on my slide right now is a choice board. It is called a tic tac toe choice board. So, there are 9 squares. I have written different activities in each of these squares. I took this from the internet, by the way. This is not my own work, but I give choices to my learners. Pick any three in a straight line, and you have to do it. This fosters autonomy. I'm giving them opportunities to make choices of the different kinds of tasks that they want to do. However, I have planned each of these 9 tasks in such a way that no matter whatever they choose, they are going to do something that I want them to do. So I'm controlling, but I'm giving them the choice. So when they feel they have a choice, they show engagement. I made this decision, I am going to do this. And to foster autonomy in the classroom, as a teacher, I can encourage self assessment. Now, to do self assessment, I don't always have to use very fancy things. I can give them a basic checklist. They can match with I'm done with this, tick mark, I'm done with this, tick mark. This way, I can train them on doing some sort of self assessment. Next, when the students are able to do self assessment, they already know what they have not done. Where are they lacking, right? So, this way, they can set personal goals. This will make sure that they take the onus. They set goals, and then what happens? They work towards them to achieve those goals, right? Flip the classroom. How many of you have used flip the classroom? Flipped classroom, rather. That's how we call it. Thank you, Sangeeta, for calling TikTok to a beautiful strategy. Flipped classroom. Has anyone used it? Yes? Wonderful, wonderful, lovely. So, this gives autonomy. They learn, they master the concept on their own, and eventually, what happens? The real work happens in the classroom. You solve problems, you give them challenges, you make it more interesting. Lovely. Next is offer choices. This is also part of differentiation. What to learn, the kind of content that they want to learn, how to learn. I want to watch a video, I want to listen to an audio, I want to go out and experience things myself. So, what are the different mediums through which I can learn? Next is how to present. How am I going to present what have I learned? So, the same things apply over here as well. Next is work as a facilitator and direct the work. So, you don't really have to let them be on their own. You have to be a facilitator, and you have to direct the work. They should not feel that you have no authority. So with that tic-tac-toe board, they were making choices, but then I was the one who was controlling those choices. So you have to really direct the things. Next, journal writing. If your students are trained on self assessment, they can take notes for their journal writing as well. We have discussed on inclusive technology, so adaptable. So, no, we did not discuss it. Inclusive technology. Do you know there are technology which is available, for example, screen readers? Students, those who have sight problems, The content can be read to them. If that can happen, look, think of how blessed that child would feel. There are screen readers and there are specific tools which will allow, with this cursor that I'm moving on my screen right now, the place you point your cursor, that piece of text gets highlighted. A ruler or a line will come under that text so that my students can focus on things. That's what inclusive technology, hearing aids, all of this, right? Next, create and make resource files accessible. Now, we want to foster autonomy, right? As a teacher, do not feel insecure. Create your resource files. How to restart the computer. I have a file, I have printed it, the instructions, they are in the cupboard somewhere. I'm not in the classroom, my students can restart the computer. How to print this worksheet from the teacher's desk. They know how to do it. How to access the content or the classroom recordings, they all know it. So autonomy will reduce your workload and will make your students more and more engaged, and they will feel empowered in the classrooms. Next, allow learners to sort the questions into what they can find on their own and the ones they need your help to solve. This is to make sure that they evaluate their own knowledge. This question, I think I can do a Google research and I can find the answer. This one, I should definitely walk up to my teacher. So you should have both type of things available. This will make sure that you are still able to direct the work. So we are not talking about diluting your importance in the classroom. We are talking about how you can make sure that you use these strategies to make your students engaged. Now, if this all makes sense to you, type MS in the chat box or the comment section. M for Mike, S for sugar, MS. If this makes sense to you, whatever we have discussed, we are on point number 3, fostering engagement. Nice. It's getting late in the evening. Some people have dropped already. Number 4, foster a sense of competence. This dog thinks he's something else, right? This is what your students should feel. Not deceptive, but then they should feel that I can do it. They should feel that they have the ability to complete something. That's what sense of competence is all about. Now, to increase or to foster competence as teachers, you can appreciate whatever progress they have made, celebrate their mistakes, promote positive self talk in the classroom. You can focus on effort and not the outcome. Sometimes teachers they plan activities wherein they just want students to think and talk whatever they think about. They will not be judged, right? Because I want them to develop thinking ability, and they're only going to be learning about how do I think purposefully. Let them help each other. So what happens is the moment we see someone is in trouble, we rush as adults and we want to help them. That's not how things work. We should let our students solve the problems themselves, the basic ones. We should let them help each other. Okay? We should let them help each other as well. That's also very important. Next is because if they're able to help someone, they will feel, oh, I'm so good. I could help someone today. I could help her fix her computer. I helped him writing or solving this equation. I helped him or her doing their bandage on the wound. That sense of competence, right? This is with your own kids as well. Most of us have kids, right? We should not quickly jump and just get the things done. This way they will become dependent and they will not take interest in the things around them. Next, assign challenging yet achievable goals. Zone of proximal development, right? This is what we spoke about. Next, Popsicle stick names. Now, I usually call it Lolly Lotto. It's actually a lottery. So, what you do is take popsicle sticks. The number should be as per your classroom. Write the name of every student on one popsicle stick. Okay. And what you can do is every time you ask a question, raise it to the entire class and then hold the sticks in your hand. Pull one stick and take the name of the child who's supposed to answer that question. Now, this way, everybody is engaged because everybody is worried, oh my God, it could be me. They are thinking about that question. Your problem is getting solved and they are preparing for an answer. This will also allow you to use differentiation somehow. You have answered a tough question. There is a name of a child who cannot answer that question. Say the name that you feel can answer the question. Nobody knows what's in your hand. So you can redirect that question to someone else quietly and the job gets done. And when you get an easy question, when you pick up someone's name and the question is already something that they can answer, route it to them directly. But still, before that, everybody was thinking about the answer. Now, this child, who is usually not considered to be that good in academics in the class, is able to answer in front of everyone. They will have this sense of competence and they will be engaged in the work that you want them to do. So, Lolly Lotto, you call it popsicle stick names, it works like wonders in the classroom, especially for student engagement. Last part, use collaborative learning. How many of you use collaborative learning? Thank you for loving the idea of popsicle sticks. I'm reading the chat as well simultaneously. Collaborative learning. You all do it? Good. Very good. Now, collaborative learning is an educational approach of using groups to enhance learning by working together. Approach of using groups, okay? So here, learners, they work in groups, and what they do, they solve problems, they complete tasks, and they learn about new concepts. This is where I'm bringing inquiry-based problems now, because after all this discussion, we can talk about it. Give your students inquiries, some question that they can solve, right? Now, there are various types of inquiry based learning. This could be your homework. You can go back and research on it. There are types wherein you give them the problem, you give them the method, and then they have to solve using that method and find out how this method is actually helping to solve the problem and various other iterations. But then everywhere they have to do the first thing, which is they have to identify the gap in their knowledge. How? I got a problem. I have to find a solution. I need to first know what is the level of achievement that I need to have or understanding I need to have to be able to solve this problem, right? I know that. What is my current skill set? I know this. Now there is a gap. I need to work towards filling this gap and then I'm able to solve the inquiry. Think, pair, and share. I think you use it a lot in your classroom, right? Jigsaw learning. How many of you use jigsaw learning in your classroom? This is a wonderful method that teachers can use. Jigsaw learning teachers. Type it in the comment section if you use it. You use it? Now, it would be impossible for me to explain the entire jigsaw learning right now, but those of you who do not know how to do it, please explore it. Your students are going to love it. But do not use it for topics that are complex and that demand your students to develop precise knowledge, okay, in the first go. So do not use it with unknown topics or something that's totally new to them. They might end up learning concepts the wrong way. Sometimes it can happen. Peer teaching. When you talk about the concept, you learn more about it. Yes or no? So if you think, recall your first lesson versus your last lesson that you delivered. Do you think your knowledge increased when you started teaching content to your students? You started making better decisions. You started coming up with better explanations. You started coming up with better examples. I see a lot of people typing yes in the chat. Lovely. That's what is the benefit. And that's how engagement is derived. Okay? Group discussions, we know it. Online games, when you have to make lessons interactive, which we spoke about earlier, including gamification is one of the best things that can be done. How many of your students play PUBG or Asphalt 8 and various other games? There are educational games like that now available. Use it. Use virtual reality, use augmented reality, and for that, you do not really have to invest in expensive hardware. A simple cardboard box can be worn, and you can take them to a different world. Next is role plays. Abhishekta says, I use STEM learning. Wonderful, it works. Role plays also work. Now, role play is one activity. I read one comment, multiple intelligence over here. That can use almost everything. Somebody can take the role of writing dialogue, somebody can write the screenplay, somebody can work on the backdrop, someone can work on the costumes, someone can work on the placing of people and various other things. It can involve most of the students in one or the other way. This is one of the best activities for engaging students. However, there is a challenge sometimes. You give tasks to a group and you don't know who has actually done the work. They take someone else's credit, right? It happens. It becomes difficult for me as a teacher to judge and check who's actually not doing their work. So, cooperative learning can help you. Assign specific tasks to every child in the group as per their ability so that they feel challenged, they are engaged. This will make sure that their contribution is important for the success of their group. So if they're not doing it, their group will not achieve success or experience success. So this way you can overcome this one challenge that I usually see teachers, struggling from. Assign every child a specific task. Teacher secrets, yes, Mariam. So assign every child a specific task and make them realize that their contribution is important for the success of the group. This will also give them a sense of competence. You are going to foster competence this way as well. Okay? So now I think I'm done with whatever I wanted to talk. And this brings us to the takeaways that we had for today. So if you learned something new, if you learned something amazing today, and thank you for sticking till the end, please type it in the comment section. So today we spoke about student engagement. We spoke about dimensions of student engagement. We spoke about why does it matter. We learned about how to classify students as per their level of engagement. We also learned about how to increase student engagement. Now it's already the time 6:30 p.m. Dubai time, 8 p.m. India time, 1 minute above that. So we have last 5 minutes for Q&A. If we have that time, I can dedicate it to that, or else we're done officially with the class time and the content right on time. So, a request, if you all are on social media, I think you all are, please subscribe to Surasa on YouTube, on Instagram, and everywhere else so that we can keep sharing knowledge with you and we can keep getting wonderful comments like this. Okay? You did? Thank you, Javen. Nice. Thank you so much, everyone, for the wonderful content, comments, not content. I'm glad you are valuing this information. The credit goes to the team, actually. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Rajna, Raina Singh. Lovely. Okay, great. Just give me a second. I'll just check with the technical team and I'll be back. Okay, now the QA round. Please let me know if you have any questions. And those of you who have no questions, feel free to leave. We are officially done with the class time, and I will try and help you if I can for sure. So, sir, I'm getting this question from Maximi, if I'm saying your name right. How do we match completion of our prescribed syllabus or curriculum along with the application of these strategies, which seems to require time? Okay. Now, as a teacher, I always say this to every teacher: you do not have to do all of this every time. Do one thing at a time, but make sure you have found an opportunity for doing it. So, for example, when it's about giving choices, maybe just focus on one or two types of learners. This way, your pace will not suffer and students will feel engaged. So, find an opportunity and then do it. Do one thing at a time. That's absolutely okay. I mean, it would be unfair to expect you to use all of this every time. So that's where your pedagogical knowledge will play an important role. Decide on what works for you and what does not, and then just do that one right thing at that right time. Thank you, Sumitha, for taking the learning back and promising to apply it in your classroom. How can we politely engage rebellion students? Now, students become rebellion for a reason. You need to do some sort of investigation and identify. Now, there are the ones who try to hide the cognitive gap in their knowledge with this kind of behavior. Maybe that's the reason. Some of them are trying to hide a learning disability that they might have been made fun of in the previous classes. So there are various reasons rather, for why some students are rebellious. So what you can do is investigate a bit from your end, involve parents, take references from the previous teachers, and also talk with the child and then try and create a plan for them. It happened with me once personally. I used this and it worked. I'm reading the questions, okay? Celebrating mistakes in the classroom. Okay, so see, over there you really have to appreciate the effort that the child is putting in. Depending upon the context, it's not about applauding them, it's not about distributing them, giving them some toffees and chocolates. It's about acknowledging and establishing that it is okay to make mistakes. That is absolutely normal. It is part of the learning process. You should not be ashamed of it. You should not feel bad about it. Take this as an opportunity to foster competence. They might have learned some skills out of that work. Try and highlight that learning from that mistake. Try to turn it positive. Not ignore what has been done wrong. Do not ignore it. But then try and identify one thing that you can, which can turn things a little positive for that child and can still keep them motivated. Okay? So, differentiation is an approach, Sangeeta, wherein a teacher wants to help students by giving them optimal support. Inclusive over here could mean many things, okay? I'll not talk about the curriculum word, I'll talk about these two words, differentiation and inclusion. So, when you're trying to be inclusive, you take cultural differences in mind at times. You talk about the diversity in your class, and you also talk about the specific needs that a child may have, and you are trying to accommodate those needs. Differentiation is usually applied to the entire group of students that you have, right? Inclusion can be for a specific child that you have in your classroom, and you're trying to take care of their that specific need. I'll rest it over here, okay, and give you just I just tried to give you some food for thought. So I think we are above the scheduled time, 8 minutes above the scheduled time. So let me just ask the team if we can end this now. So the team says yes, we can end the session. Thank you all for joining in, and thank you for staying till the end. It was lovely to see so much enthusiasm in the comment section, and I got answer for every question that I asked. And a lot of you said that you're going to take it to the classroom, you're going to apply it. That's a blessing for us. Thank you all. I'm sure your students will give you the results that you want after you use this knowledge. Thank you all. Have a nice day ahead. Bye.